Okay, now for the rest of our program, introducing our two moderators. Serving as today moderators are Michelle Hernandez and Matt Layson. Our moderators are both serve on the Greater Marysville Tulalip Chamber Board and on our Government Affairs Committee. Michelle is the museum manager of the Hebo Cultural Center and Natural History Preserve in Tulalip. She is a mother of four amazing children and a proud Tulalip tribal member. Matt is the fourth-generation insurance agent and president of CalRose Insurance, featured in the PNC Specialist by the London Financial Times and on the Insurance Guys podcast. His expertise is widely recognized. He shares his knowledge creating educational content online with viral Instagram and TikTok videos reaching millions. Demystifying insurance for a broad audience. Please help me welcome both of them to the stage.
Can we get some of these lights turned off, please?
That's not great for the video shot. Brian will kill me otherwise.
Otherwise, I need my sunglasses. It's so bright. Good morning. Thank you, Yvonne. In each race, we will begin with 1-minute opening statements by each candidate. To maintain the Chamber's reputation of impartiality, the candidate to speak first for each race was chosen by a coin flip prior to today. Following opening statements, the candidates will be asked a series of questions developed by our Government Affairs Committee. Alternating first response positions, each candidate will be given a 2-minute response period to each question posed. Okay, just kidding. I lied. 1 minute. Thank you. Candidates for each race will have the opportunity to answer each question before we move on to another question, and each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer each question. Is that right, Peter? Yep. Okay. The questions will be displayed on the screens to help us, the candidates, and all of you recall each question.
After the predetermined questions are answered, the candidates will have an opportunity to pose their own questions to their opponent. In this segment, each candidate will have 30 seconds to pose their question, and their opponent will have 1 minute to respond. After answering, the answering candidate will pose a question of their own, and their opponent will have 1 minute to answer. Thank you. Helping our candidates keep track of their response times, Peter Rudolph will signal with cards when the candidates have reached 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and remaining when their time is up. Because
we'll just listen to Peter.
It's very ironic considering he wrote this script. Thank you, Peter. Because forms of fairness work best in observance of rules, this sound will occur when your time is up, or repeated when the candidates keep talking. With no further ado, I am pleased to introduce the candidates for the Marysville City Council positions 1 through 4. Once again, please hold your applause until after introductions are completed. Candidates for position 1 are John Snow and Peter Condilius.
Running for position 2 is Mark James and Chris Davis.
Position 3 candidates are Amber Cantu and Dan Perkins.
And those for position 4 are Michael Stevens and Lauren Tapp.
Now you may applause.
Good morning. Good morning. I gotta get out of the way. Good morning. Connie and I did this last year, and there weren't as many candidates, so I don't know that we had to go into the closet to let people through. Good morning, everyone. Our first section is on public safety. Are we ready to get started? Okay, thank you. The other critical component of having a safe community is proper funding of law enforcement, courts, and mental health resources. Prioritizing one objective often means that other priorities get put on the back burner. It was back burner. Oh,
Opening statements.
who's monitoring me? I was ready, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it, or is it me?
It's you on opening statements.
All right. I am going to lock in, as my kids say, right now. All right? Thank you all for your grace. We will begin by giving each candidate a chance to make a short opening statement. You'll all have 1 minute to tell us what's driving your candidacy. The order of candidate opening statements was determined by a coin flip prior to this forum, as I mentioned earlier, and despite the orderliness of proceeding numerically, starting with position 1, the order of response was determined by a random number gentrification yesterday. Position 3 candidates get to go first, and these candidates represent the one race this cycle with no incumbent. Amber Cantu, why are you running?
I'm running because I am dedicated to my community. I am excited about working with, with deep roots in this community and land. I want to connect with my community and serve them.
Thank you. Dan Perkins, same question for you. Why are you running?
Well, I'm running because I've spent my career teaching students, and I want to make sure that I do my part to prepare the community for them. I've asked them to prepare to be a part of the community, so I want to do my part to meet them halfway there. And the community has been good to me and my family, and so I think it's time to give back.
Thank you. Position 1 candidates are next. John Snow, you won the first coin toss, so go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is John Snow. I'm running for Marysville because I fell in love with this city. I'm not originally from here, but when I was stationed here on Naval Station Everett, this place is beautiful, the people are nice, and I really just want to help this grow. I want to use my experience from seeing cities all around the country, all around the world, and bring the best of every idea that I've seen here and just help Marysville become and stay the best, biggest town ever.
Peter, same question for you.
Thank you. Did anybody else get carded before they came in today? They almost didn't let me in. My name is Peter Candelius. I'm running for re-election to Marysville City Council. I was appointed in July of 2022 and re-elected in November of 2023. I've lived in Marysville most of my life, and over that period of time, I've been a part of a number of groups in the community. Most notably, I've served as president of the Marysville Historical Society since 2022. I've been on the board there since 2014. Before my time on council, I was able to serve on the Mayor's Task Force on Growth, the Community Development Block Grant Committee, and then I chaired the Snohomish County Policy Advisory Board. My priorities are the same as they've always been through my last campaign and when I was appointed. Public safety, I believe our residents have the right to feel safe in this community. Financial stewardship, because I believe that financially stable cities make strong communities. And community beautification, because nobody wants to live in an ugly city. Thank you.
Thank you. Position 2, Mark James.
Thank you, and good morning. I'm Mark James. My wife Renee and I have lived in Marysville since 1990, where we raised our family, built a business, and devoted ourselves to this community. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, small business owner, and for the past 8 years, I've been honored to serve you on City Council. During that time, I've focused on the fundamentals that make Marysville a great place to live, keeping our neighborhoods safe, protecting your tax dollars with balanced budgets, and investing in the infrastructure and parks that families count on. My priorities are simple: listen, protect, respect. That means listening to our residents, protecting our families and businesses, and respecting every taxpayer dollar. I'm proud of the progress we've made, and I'm running for another term to continue building a safer, stronger, and more vibrant Marysville for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I do realize I skipped position 4. I don't know who asked me to do this today. It's just amateur hour up here. So we'll finish up with Chris Davis, and then we'll move to position 4. Yeah, sorry guys. I really am trying.
It's really early. We understand. Hi, I'm Chris Davis. I've been a youth and family support advocate in the greater Snohomish County area for about half a dozen years. I have 2 sons. My oldest just graduated from Getchell last year. I've been involved in this community helping out with the school district, various levy efforts. Through that, I kind of had lots of conversations with people on why they were voting no, and it was, taxes. Can't afford tax increases. And then that really led me to starting going down to Olympia and kind of harassing people, but it always feels like, unless you're in a position of power, no one wants to listen. No one wants to hear ideas or, discuss things. So I feel it's, the obligation of the city council to represent the constituents. And, sorry.
Thank you. And position 4 candidates, Michael Stevens, your opening statement first, please.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here with the Chamber today. As was said, I'm Michael Stevens, and I've had the honor of serving on the Marysville City Council since 2010, currently as the council president. I'm a husband and proud father of 5. My beautiful wife, Lisa, is here with me somewhere out there, but you're right, these lights are really bright. I think she's in that direction. I care deeply about the quality of life and opportunities we're creating for families here in Marysville. Professionally, I'm a licensed architect and business owner, which gives me firsthand perspective on the need to balance smart growth, fiscal discipline, and a strong local economy. On council, I've championed downtown revitalization, supported business-friendly policies, and worked to secure state and federal investments in our infrastructure. Just last year, we passed a balanced $450 million budget without raising property taxes. That's the 13th year, I believe, that was true, while prioritizing public safety, transportation, and housing. My focus is simple: make it easier for people to live here and easier for businesses to thrive here. That's how we'll keep Marysville vibrant, competitive, and sustainable for the future. I look forward to today's discussion.
Thank you. And Lauren Tapp, your opening statement, please.
Good morning, and first of all, I wanted, if I may, say thank you to everyone who showed up here today. You showed up. Thank you very, very much. Can you give yourself a round of applause, please? I was born and raised in Seattle. I moved away to many states, so I've seen how different cities and states handle different topics, the ones that we're talking about today. I have experience in working with veterans and in, I'm sorry, I'm brand new to this. But I moved back here to Marysville because my roots are here. I truly believe this is a wonderful place to live. And as was said earlier, we need to balance and work together to have a vibrant and working community. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now we'll move on to our first real question. Part of having a safe community, which many of you mentioned, is keeping up with local laws and ensuring that city ordinances are well tailored to respond to conduct, effective in their application, and comprehensible to those subject to them. The City Council is in charge of making and revising the Marysville Municipal Code. What ideas do you have or will you support to make changes in the code to improve public safety? First, we'll start off with position 2 and Chris Davis.
Sorry, forgot I wasn't holding the microphone. I think that Marysville, our police department does a great job enforcing the laws that we have on the books. Kind of the problem is there's pushback from the state level on, how long you can hold people, what charges can be, given age, things like that. So I think it's less about like writing new laws and more about helping our police department enforce the laws on the books, and maybe taking a look at the codes on the books and reviewing them, seeing if we can update them, like as the city grows and we plan things out for, years and years in advance in the downtown corridor. Like, how often do we review the civil code, expressing like smoking joints in public, that type of stuff.
Mark James, your response to the question.
Thank you. Marysville's municipal code is reviewed regularly to keep our community safe and ensure that our laws are clear, fair, and enforceable. I don't believe in changing laws just for the sake of change, but when updates are needed, we do them thoughtfully with input from staff, law enforcement, and the community. I also believe city ordinances should be simple and accessible so residents and businesses can understand and comply without unnecessary burden. Public safety is always a top priority, and I'll continue to support updates that are practical, effective, and keep Marysville a safe place to live, work, and do business.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to position 3, and Dan Perkins, you are up first. What are some of your ideas?
So I recognize laws are vital to community, and clear, understandable laws that are enforceable elevate a community. I don't come into this position with the idea of adding ordinances. I see adding to the existing law as a sort of failure in our society. Hopefully, there's not reason to add a lot more. We don't need a new legal engine. But there are times when demands of the changing community do require that. For the most part, though, I think maintenance is necessary, primarily to make sure that the laws are enforceable. If they need to be delaminated from bureaucracy, or if they just need to be updated and wording changed.
Amber Cantu, what will you support?
I'm 100% committed to fully empowering our local law enforcement officers to do their job effectively. I'll actively listen to and collaborate with them as they share their challenges, needs, and requirements to keep Marysville safe for all constituents. In addition to supporting our local law enforcement, I believe we should regularly review and update the Marysville Municipal Code to ensure it's well tailored to address current public safety concerns. This includes community engagement and data-driven policies, utilizing crime data and community feedback to identify areas where the code may need adjustments, making it more effective and addressing specific issues. By taking these steps, we can create a safer environment for all of our residents while ensuring our laws are relevant and effective.
Now we'll move to position 1. A lot of you have referenced updates to the municipal code. Peter Condelius, what is your opinion on that concept of updates?
I love it. Marysville has about 3,300 ordinances on the books. So that's quite, in the municipal code's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages long. So a lot of the topics that we care about and we talk about as it relates to public safety are already in the municipal code, but it's how can we update that to be relevant in 2025 and going forward. That's something we've done at the council level. Just recently, we've been looking at ordinances as it relates to massage parlors. We've also talked about our RVs that are parked throughout the city recently. So we have a record of making sure that our municipal code's up to date for the times that we're in, and I look forward to continuing that work.
John Snow, how can you improve public safety?
First and foremost, we need to actually talk to the communities and see what issues are affecting them. When I go around, there are some communities who, they do feel safe to walk up the street to the store, and there's a lot that don't. I would like to work with the communities, work with our local law enforcement, and if we can invest more actually in our law enforcement, adopt more of the community policing, and also hit areas and try to prevent crime and prevent the roots of crime before it even happens, it would not only make us safer, but even the perception of safety is better, which gives everyone better peace of mind.
And now we'll move on to position 4. Lauren Tapp, you're first. Does the code need to change?
Codes need to change because times change. I was thinking that part of my background is in instructional design, so one of the first things to do is to assess the situation. Is it the code that needs to change, or is there a process that needs to change? And then that also involves working with the community to find out what really is going on. The other part is to design and implement a code change, and then to go back and reassess it. Sometimes I think we just put a code there and let it kind of expire. So I think it's really important to continue to vitalize the codes and make them relevant, all the while including the community.
And lastly, Michael Stevens, in light of all this conversation, what do you propose?
Well, thank you. As a council member, I believe our municipal code should be a tool for both accountability and redemption. In Marysville, we've already taken a bold step, requiring a 30-day minimum jail sentence for anyone convicted of 3 public disorder crimes in 5 years, and most recently increasing the minimum to 45 days for a 4th conviction, while also adding malicious mischief, like vandalism, to the list of crimes covered. This policy was born out of conversations with members of the community, as has been discussed up here already. I support these efforts, but with care. Mandatory minimums must be paired with clear, fair, and enforceable code language. And we should make sure that there is real access to treatment and diversion, because many who reoffend struggle with addiction or homelessness. Marysville's model already allows a defendant to petition for treatment in lieu of full jail time, and I'll continue to support actions such as this.
Thank you. And a quick note to all of our candidates up here. Closer the mic is to your face, about 2 fingers away is optimum. The more you hear that ringing, that means that the mic is pointing farther away from you. My previous career was back there, so that's why I'm sensitive about it.
Thank you. Can you hear me with the mic all the way over here?
No.
Okay. He can, yes, so we're good. It's really poor placement. It hits him right in the face. Okay, better? Here we go. All right. Moving on to the question I asked you at the very beginning. The other critical component of having safe community is proper funding of law enforcement, courts, and mental health resources. Prioritizing one objective often means other priorities get put on the back burner. And how much are you willing to sacrifice of our law enforcement budget for other priorities? Now, position 2 gets to respond first again, and we spun the wheel 3 times, 3, not 2, and it kept landing on position 2 even though they went first last time. So here we are. Mark James, can we afford to fund all of your priorities?
Thank you. I don't believe in pitting law enforcement against other priorities. Public safety is always a top priority, and we've funded it here responsibly in Marysville. Our city doesn't have a budget problem. In fact, we've maintained balanced budgets while investing in law enforcement, courts, and mental health resources. The key is responsible management, responsible financial management. So we don't have to sacrifice one priority to fund another. My focus is on and will be and continue to be protecting taxpayer dollars and making sure every department has the tools that it needs to keep Marysville safe and thriving.
Thank you, Mark. Chris Davis, do you see anything on the chopping block?
On the chopping block? No. I love our police department, and I absolutely love that, 13 years in a row, the city has kept, the 1% optional tax rate for property taxes. They've kept it off, and I plan to keep that going for as long as I can. I don't think that defunding the police is the option. I think that supporting police with mental health, once they get up to proper staffing levels and can take time off, making it so that, the embedded social workers aren't just out in the field, but they're checking in with our law enforcement and firefighters and giving them the support so that when they respond to stressful calls, they're not under as much stress and everyone's safer.
Thank you. In position 1, we continue the discussion. Jon Snow, how will different interests gain your attention?
When different interests, will come in front, my biggest thing is to always look at and kind of triage what the interests are. first and foremost, always is safety, whether it's public safety, emergency services, making sure people have a route to and from if they're having a heart attack. It's safety was always going to be first. I want to blame the Navy for that. They drilled it in pretty hard. But when it comes to a lot of things, I was in logistics in the Navy for 13 years. I'm used to working with a very limited budget and sometimes a very, sequestration budget. And you start learning how to make miracles happen with not a lot of stuff and also not a lot of income guaranteed to come in because they're going to make cuts somewhere. But you make it work. And we're going to make this work. Okay, stop.
Thank you. Peter, what criteria will you employ to evaluate where to prioritize funds?
Well, I think that the question about, choosing between services and police, we've been able to do both here in Marysville. Unfortunately, with a lot of cities in Snohomish County, due to budget constraints, you do have to pick. But we've shown that we can balance our budget while making investments in our police department that make their job safer and make it safer for the community. And then on top of that, we're able to make investments in social services that help folks that maybe encounter the criminal justice system that are experiencing mental health issues or substance abuse issues, be able to receive the treatment that they need. Just a few examples. We have our CARES team that's embedded in our police department that's able to make contact with folks. We have MAP court programs that are able to help people divert from the criminal justice system, get the treatment they need, and then have a clean record. So we're able to walk and chew gum in Marysville as it relates to social services and the police department.
Thank you. Moving on to position 3. Amber, what do we need, or do we need to cut funding or add more?
So I'm not willing to sacrifice any part of our law enforcement budget. Our law enforcement agencies are already operating on a very tight budget, and they have been mandated with the critical responsibility of keeping our city safe. It's essential that we ensure they have every necessary resource to effectively perform their duties. And at the same time, I do recognize the importance of mental health resources and drug addiction programs in contributing to overall community safety. To address these needs, I will advocate to partnership with federal agencies and actively petition state and federal elected officials for funding that would bring essential support to Marysville and surrounding cities that cannot afford these services within their own budgets. I think by working together, we can access the resources necessary to implement effective wraparound services and programs that address mental health and addiction, ultimately fostering a healthier and safer environment for all residents.
Thank you. Dan, how would you decide what to keep and what to expand?
Well, like most members of the community, I have a long wish list, and I'm guessing most of my wish list would get cut. But as far as priorities go, I guess conceptually, I don't see law enforcement or public safety in general as a separate priority. It's part of every priority. So when we talk about healthy parks or growing neighborhoods, a vibrant business community, or infrastructure, all of those things are part and parcel with law enforcement. One doesn't come without the other. And so I wouldn't separate them, and I certainly wouldn't sacrifice.
Thank you. Moving into position 4. Michael Stevens, what are your funding priorities?
Thank you. Well, as has been stated already, the city budget is a balance between all departments. Keeping Marysville safe has to stay a top priority. I'm not interested in cutting law enforcement in ways that would put our community at risk. What I do believe is in making sure the dollars we spend are used wisely. And public safety isn't just about police, it's also about having strong courts, access to mental health services, good housing, and solid infrastructure. Those things should work hand in hand with our officers, not compete with them. So my focus is on balance, finding efficiencies, going after grants, and making sure we get the most out of every tax dollar while keeping our city's safety front and center. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Tabb, what do you propose?
I've worked in juvenile detention, I've worked in mental and behavioral health, and I know the challenges that come with that. I think that a lot of times we look at this situation backwards. We look at it that this is what we see, but we have to look at what started and was before that. by the time we get to where we are with law enforcement. The other part is that we need to engage our communities more in helping our community thrive, and children who, are home alone, we can find places for them to be and have a constructive rather than cutting. We can be creative in change.
Thank you. State laws allow cities to raise property taxes by 0.1% every year without a vote. Marysville has chosen not to do that, and that's really unusual compared to a lot of other cities that do. By a show of hands, who would vote to raise property taxes by the state authorized rate as a member of the city council? Now's your time. All right, thank you.
That was unanimous. My goodness. Voters are motivated to vote for you by your campaign priorities. So please expand for us your top 1 or 2 campaign priorities, and how are you going to accomplish those priorities and promises once you are burdened with the business of the city? What active steps will you take to not lose track of why you were elected? And for this question, we will start with position 1. Peter Condilius, you go first.
Thank you. And after being on the council for 3 years, I will start by saying it has not been a burden. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the residents, and I really have enjoyed every minute of it. I want to talk a little bit about financial stewardship, which is one of my campaign points, because like I said in my opening, I believe stable cities bring strong communities. Marysville, we've been very blessed with smart leaders over the last decades that have balanced our budgets wisely. During my time on council, we passed 2 biannual budgets without a property tax increase. We've restructured our investment income, which has netted about $1 million in the general fund already this year. And our sales tax rate, which we haven't talked about yet, is 9.4%, which puts us on the lower half of cities for Snohomish County, even though we're the 2nd largest city in the county. And then we also are one of the only cities without a B&O tax. So I'm really proud of our financial record, and that's kind of how I measure about where our success is. Thank you.
John Snow.
Hello. So top 2 priorities, obviously helping public safety, and then making sure that money stays within Marysville and the surrounding area. I don't want it going too far out because I wanted to help circulate our economy and help our small businesses grow and thrive. And with public safety, as we discussed earlier, I want to make sure that our police are fully funded, they're able to do their job, and I would prefer a full implementation of community policing because it also helps them get involved with the community, and there is more of a trust built with any kind of community that feels like they're being let down. And then with keeping money in the city, we need to make sure when Marysville has contracts that we keep as many PLAs, we keep as many local jobs and local people who are employed at the city and government contracts as possible. And we do not want our money to go out of state or anywhere that it doesn't then get circled back into our community.
Thank you. Now we'll move to position 3. Dan Perkins, same question.
So I want to make sure that every neighborhood in Marysville feels seen, heard, and has a voice in the decisions that are made in our community. I also want to make sure that there are expanded business opportunities and the opportunity to buy a home in the community where my students grow up, graduate, and would like to live. And so creating an environment where those opportunities can exist is important to me. And I think there's a lot of small steps that we can take to make sure that we're moving in that direction. As far as keeping check to make sure I stay in tuned, I think just continuing to collaborate with and communicate with the community, not just during campaign season, but throughout the time that you serve in that position is very important. And going to my day job every day and looking those students in the face and telling them to work hard and agreeing that I'll work hard on the other end is a big part of it.
Amber Cantu, now you.
My top campaign priorities are to foster community collaboration and to ensure responsible fiscal management. I believe that by finding common ground with other Marysville City Council members, we can form a coalition that focuses on initiatives that will strengthen and improve our city. Together, we can address key issues such as public safety, infrastructure, and community services, ensuring that our resources are allocated effectively to meet the needs of our residents. To accomplish these priorities, I will actively engage with fellow city council members, community stakeholders, facilitating open discussions and brainstorming sessions to identify actionable solutions. I will also prioritize transparency in our budget process, ensuring that residents are informed and involved in decisions that affect their lives. As a public servant, I am dedicated to serving the community rather than pursuing a political agenda. So my ambition and focus is to solely place on the needs and concerns of the people of Marysville. I'll regularly seek feedback from residents and hold myself accountable to the promises I made during my campaign.
Thank you. Now let's move to position 2. Chris Davis, same question.
My main campaign priorities are pretty much the same as everyone else. I think pretty much everyone up here has the same approach of listen to your constituents. And I think what that means is doing more than just having the coffee chats, which are amazing, or these events, which are fantastic, and I'm sure the food is great, but we need to be accessible in our communities. And like just walking around during campaign season isn't enough. And so I'm with Peter here, I don't think that responsibility is necessarily a burden. And as a youth and family support advocate and community outreach chaplain, you know, like getting to know people and hearing their stories and trying to help find solutions is my job. So I hope to do it at the city council.
Mark James.
Thank you. Yeah, my top priorities are public safety and responsible budgeting, because those are the foundation of a strong Marysville. I've kept those priorities front and center during my 8 years on council, and I'll continue to do so by listening to our residents, working with my colleagues, and keeping financial accountability at the core of every decision. I know the business of a city can be complex, but I've never lost sight of why I was elected, and that is to serve our community with fairness, protect families, and respect every tax dollar. That's what I've done, and that's what I'll keep doing.
Thank you. Now let's move to position 4, Lauren Tapp.
So the two main, I think, would be housing and responsible business development. We all know there's a housing issue going on, and in order for us to remember what Marysville is and what Marysville was, a small family community, we need to address the ability of families to be able to have their own home with reasonable planning, and also to recruit and engage responsible businesses to come into our community and contribute to our vitalization, and because Marysville is really a great place to live.
Michael Stevens.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, if not voting for that 1% is what makes us unique, and we're known as good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars, then I think that's a pretty good thing to be known for, and much better than a lot of other communities in Snohomish County for what they're known for. But as far as my priorities, you know, we just talked about public safety, so I'll focus. What was it? Two
Yeah,
fingers?
there you go.
I'll focus on my other two top priorities, which are responsible growth and redevelopment, and maintaining fiscal discipline while preserving essential services. These priorities come from my perspective as both a business owner and a parent raising a family here in Marysville. Anyone who knows me, and if you don't, shameless plug, you can visit my website at michael4marysville.com, or as my kids would say, find me on my socials. You'll see that I've consistently been a strong advocate for responsible urban growth. I've pushed for downtown revitalization, business-friendly policies, and more opportunities for recreation and community events. Marysville does that really, really well. At the same time, I've worked to ensure that we live within our means. We've talked about the budget quite a bit, and we've balanced the budget, not raising property taxes, but we still prioritize core services and managing cost pressures. How do I stay accountable to these values? I have two questions I ask myself every time I consider a policy. And does it make it easier for people to live in Marysville? And does it make it easier for people to do business here in Marysville? If the answer is no, then it's back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into question 4, economic development. Economic development is important for the continued success of Marysville. How will you entice federal, state, and private investment here? Responding first is position 4, Michael Stevens.
Well, hello again. As business leaders, you know Marysville is in a prime location, right on I-5, close to the Port of Everett, with a growing workforce and community base. That's why I've consistently supported business-friendly policies and pushed for downtown revitalization, because private capital follows confidence and momentum. At the same time, we're making sure outside dollars work for us. Through our lobbying efforts at the state and federal level, Marysville has already secured over $150 million in key investments, and I'll keep pushing for more grants and infrastructure funding. We also make strategic economic development investments locally to better position ourselves for state and federal grant programs, which allow us to leverage outside dollars more effectively, which means fewer of our taxpayer dollars going towards these projects. That combination of strategic location, pro-business policies, and effective advocacy makes Marysville a smart place to invest and a great place to do business. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren?
I realized that I didn't answer the whole entire question about keeping my promises, as basically to show up in different places and be fully engaged, and not just be there because to shake hands. I have worked in lots of different places where we were the first of doing whatever it was. I was founding staff at Cascadia Community College, so I know what it takes to go out and meet people and encourage them to invest in our ideas. I also know what it's like to apply for grants, how important it is to engage the people that we want to be here and engage on a regular basis. The continued success of Marysville, once again, comes back to our families. Families who work here and live here, and engaging with them and listening to what they need and what kind of businesses they want to see.
Thank you. Responding next, position 1, John.
Thank you. So with this, to entice federal, state, and private investment here, I'm going to go knock out the government stuff first. So if we need to help lobby the state to get more funding for Marysville, I mean, if I have to spend every other day that I'm not in Marysville and Olympia having lunch and pestering people to get what needs to be done in Marysville done, it's going to happen. You can ask any of my bosses in the Navy. They're very annoyed, but they'll go ahead and give me what I needed to do to get me to shut up. So I'll do that for you. Federal-wise, it changes from administration to administration. That one big reason why I said we needed to get our dollars to keep circulating in the economy here is because we can't necessarily trust that on the whims of the next administration that we're going to keep getting all the grants that we normally get. So we need to be able to understand that and adjust for that. And then private investment, again, with supporting small businesses, supporting our unions, keeping the money here in Marysville, we need to make sure that every government contract that we put out, every city project, that it is employing as many, if not only, local companies, people, and making sure that that money circles around in our community and comes right back.
Thank you. Peter?
Thank you. Since this is a group of business owners and business people, I'll start with the private investment side. About a year ago, a business owner came to me and a few other council members and said, hey, we want to locate in downtown, but we have some obstacles. Could you meet and help us through that? So we met with him, and his project was exactly what our downtown master plan contemplated, like exactly. And there was a code problem that didn't allow him to construct his project. So we met over a period of a few months, figured out what was wrong, and we were able to pass a code change that allowed him to move forward with his project. So it's things like that where we don't necessarily know what's going on, but when people bring their concerns to us and tell us this might make business easier for me, we're able to react and be adaptive. Because I think that's really important that cities adapt, as we talked about earlier with the code changes. On the other side, the federal and state side, it's about showing up. And Marysville has a very long reputation of showing up. When we go to DC and we go to Olympia, we get so many compliments of how organized we are and how present we are. And I think that the fruits of that has really showed up. A lot of our projects, the big projects you've seen, have been funded by state and federal dollars, which is bringing your tax money back home. Thank you.
Thank you. Position 3, Amber Cantu.
Economic development is crucial for continued success of Marysville, and I plan to entice federal, state, and private investment by taking a proactive and collaborative approach. I would begin by working closely with people like the Chamber of Commerce to identify the types of businesses and industries that align with our community's needs and values. Together, we can conduct market research to understand what sectors would thrive in our area and create a strategic plan to attract those businesses. This includes highlighting our city's strengths, such as our skilled workforce, quality of life, and available resources. Additionally, I would advocate for creating incentives for businesses that choose to invest in Marysville to make our city a more attractive option. I will also engage with state and federal officials to explore funding opportunities and programs that can support our economic development initiatives.
Thank you. Dan Perkins.
So this all starts with being ready and when those opportunities come, as well as going out and looking for them. So Marysville's in a great place there. I think there's a good foundation, and as we've mentioned, track record of fiscal responsibility is very helpful. So we stay that course. And the message to potential investors at all levels clearly becomes this is a city that plans well and that it spends wisely. So to attract more federal, state, and private investment, we just need to keep making smart infrastructure choices, streamlining permitting, and just stay aggressive about grant opportunities. And we should keep partnering, of course, with the Chamber and promote what we already know. Marysville is growing, it's well managed, and it's just a smart place to build for the future.
Thank you. Position 2 wraps up this question. Mark James.
Thank you. Economic development is key to Marysville's success. Every year we bring shovel-ready projects and responsible budget requests to our state and federal partners to compete for investment. For private investment, the best thing we can do is make Marysville business friendly, as Councilmember Candelius gave an example of. Keeping city processes simple, infrastructure strong, and growth predictable. Whether you're a small entrepreneur or a large employer, we want you to know that Marysville is open for business, and I'll keep working to build the partnerships that drive those opportunities.
Thank you. Chris Davis.
Once again, I can't disagree with anything anyone else said. Focusing on local is the future. Like as Dan said for a previous question, you know, like our students grow up here, they want jobs here, they want to live here, they want to raise their own families here. So bringing in businesses that pay livable wages, focusing on local businesses, and helping them grow and create and become like the one empire of realty, which I mean, it's impressive how big you guys are. But it's that kind of thing. You dial in, you focus. If a little bottle shop on the corner is having trouble trying to get a license reviewed by the health department, you talk to someone at the health department for them, and you find out. It's a 5-minute conversation, and then this situation gets fixed. And that, it can be the solution for so many of our places. And I'm credit where credit is due. The city council has been great at making themselves available. But I mean, growth means a little bit more, doing a little bit extra, planning a little bit longer term, which again, Marysville has been fantastic with the downtown growth and, you know, the long-term plan. Oops.
Thank you. And now let's take this next question in a slightly different direction. The U.S. Census Bureau tells us that nearly 1 in 5 homes in our community speaks a language other than English as their primary language. How will you strive to represent your constituents with different cultural priorities than you? And this time we will start off with Lauren in position 4.
This is a difficult question in a difficult time. As with everything that I think that I've said so far, is it's based on community. Sometimes we're afraid of change, and just like what was said earlier, predictable growth. We need predictable growth. We all like to predict things, but it comes back to understanding communities, breaking bread together. It sounds corny, but it's true. And having people who feel marginalized in our community come back to some place like this where everyone has a voice and everyone is able to understand the fundamentals of our democracy and our Constitution in English and the language of their home.
Thank you. Michael Stevens.
Thank you. Yeah, food is always a great community building, and the food here is pretty spectacular, and so kudos to those who are involved in that. I see diversity as a strength of Marysville. It enriches our culture, expands our customer base, and strengthens our workforce. For businesses, that means new markets and ideas. And for families, it means a community where different backgrounds come together to make Marysville stronger. The city already has tools in place to support that. Our website has a pretty robust translation function. Our courts and police department provide interpreter services. That ensures residents can access vital services no matter what language they speak. The city's Diversity Advisory Committee was created to give residents of different cultural and linguistic backgrounds a direct voice in shaping our city policy. This committee acts as a bridge between the community and City Hall, making sure perspectives from all backgrounds are part of our decision making. It's one more way we're building Marysville that's inclusive, welcoming, and truly representative of everyone who lives here. Thank you.
Position 2 goes next. Chris Davis.
A little bit about my background is my dad was in the Navy before I enlisted, so I grew up in Italy and Guam. And Guam is a U.S. territory, but they teach Chamorro class, and every day was Chamorro lessons, and it was a rich culture that I appreciated then. I wish I could afford to go back and visit, but I understand what it's like to be in an area where you're not able to understand the main language spoken. And here in Marysville, 40% of our population is multilanguage, or at least in our school district. So it's one of those things where the school district had a great program at Schulte's. They had a portable, it was set up, we're teamed up with Snow Isle Library. They were gonna have a ESL program for the families, for parents, because we covered the kids in school. But then due to federal stuff coming down the pipeline, it was cut. So we expanded that in the community, and we can do that more.
Mark James.
Thank you. I grew up on Guam too. That's right. Half a day. Tomorrow for hi. So, as a city council member for the past 8 years, I have worked to ensure every decision we make applies equally to all residents, regardless of language or background. The fact that 1 in 5,000 households speaks a language other than English shows how diverse and strong our community is. Representation starts with listening, so I make sure that we are accessible, whether that means engaging through translated city materials, working with community liaisons, or simply making myself available to listen to concerns directly. I also support the work of nonprofits that help families overcome barriers. As a council member, I work to keep the business side of city requirements as simple and accessible as possible. At the end of the day, my responsibility is to represent all Marysville residents with fairness, respect, and an open door.
Position 3, Dan Perkins. What is your response to the question?
So language and cultural differences certainly don't need to be barriers. We had a neighbor move in just down the street from us, went over to welcome them, and turned out they didn't speak a lick of English and we didn't speak a lick of Ukrainian. So there's a little bit of an issue there, but all it takes is pulling out the phone, and the next thing you know, we had a friend that would come over for dinner, and we'd go get tomato starts from them. And so I just think that you need to start building relationships, not in our differences. If you start there, that's usually where the relationship will end as well. But if you plant relationships in common ground, they will flourish there. And those differences kind of end up just being the mulch. And so just looking for those places of common ground to build on, I think makes a world of difference, and it's a mindset that's important.
Thank you. Amber Cantu.
I'm here to serve all the constituents of Marysville, and I deeply honor the diverse ethnicities and cultures that make our community unique. With nearly 1 in 5 homes speaking a language other than English as their primary language, I know it's essential that I actively strive to represent the varied cultural priorities of our residents. In my own home, I have multicultural children, Native American, Hispanic, Punjab, Filipino, and Caucasian, along with a growing family of adult children who have married into families with different ethnicities. This personal experience has given me a profound appreciation for the richness of diversity and the importance of inclusivity. By fostering an environment of understanding and respect, I will work to ensure that every constituent feels represented and valued in our city government.
And now let's close with position 1. Peter.
Thank you. It all comes back to accessibility for me when we talk about different cultures in Marysville. Like Michael said, our city website, I looked at it last night. You can translate it into hundreds of languages, some of which I've never even heard of. So our city materials are accessible for folks. And then just this week at our council meeting, we were discussing translator services in our courts. So if people do encounter the criminal justice system and have to come to the courthouse, translators are available in any and all languages. And getting back to the financial stewardship portion of that, we are able to get grant money to cover those interpreter services, which is really important because some of the languages that are more unique and not spoke widely, it costs more to get those interpreters, and we're able to get those costs covered for us. Thank you.
And lastly, John.
Hello. So I like to think of it as I think we all grew up with the School of Rock, right? Or the Schoolhouse Rock, the Great American Melting Pot. I like to think of it more as a stew, where every ingredient contributes to the whole, it makes the whole tastier, but it doesn't actually take away from each individual ingredient's flavor and their specialness. That's how I like to approach when I led divisions and departments in the Navy, and that's how I'm going to approach City Council. I'm going to go out, if I don't know the language, I'll try to find somebody who does, and I'll go out into the community and talk to people. And worst case scenario, like was previously said, I mean, there's Google Translate isn't like it was 10 years ago. It'll actually, convey some thoughts now. So you just have to try. You try to get to know people, keep walking the community. Like Chris said, not just during campaign season. Let people know that the council cares about you, and we're not just waiting for you to come to us at coffee. We're going out to you and saying, hey, what's going on? How can we help?
Thank you, everyone. This next question. Public conversation debates Washington's status as a sanctuary state. It is the Chamber's understanding that the city has never taken an official position on the question. By a show of hands, who would vote to declare Marysville a sanctuary city, and then explain why you vote yes or no? So show of hands for yes. Thank you. So, this is a little different. Who wants to explain their reasoning? Okay. Chris, you were first.
First off, this is kind of a performative question because Washington is a sanctuary state, so I don't think we'd ever be in a situation where Marysville needs to. But if it came down, like there was an initiative led by people in Marysville asking us to do it, then yes, definitely I would vote for that.
Anyone who disagreed would like to voice their opinion. Mark.
Thanks. Yeah, I gave this one some thought. Here's my thoughts. Marysville has never taken an official position on declaring itself a sanctuary city, and I don't believe it's the role of our council to get into symbolic declarations. Washington State became a sanctuary state in 2019 when Governor Inslee signed the Keep Washington Working Act. My responsibility as a council member is to make sure our city remains safe, fiscally responsible, and focused on delivering services that work for all residents. Federal funding is critical to projects here in Marysville, and the Association of Washington Cities points out that we have to carefully review those federal dollars, communicate the impacts with our delegation when we see them every year, and protect programs that our community depends on. That's where my focus will stay, protecting taxpayers, keeping the city safe, and making sure that Marysville gets its fair share of resources.
Apologies, John. I know you wanted to answer that question, but this question was designed to be a bit elastic, depending on time, and we're already past it.
All right, now we will get into questions for each other. Each of you will be given 30 seconds to ask a question of your opponent. Please limit your response time to 1 minute. And we'll have Mark lead us off.
Thank you. I was going to ask him something about Guam. I'm an Air Force brat. That's why I grew up over there, and then ended up joining the Army. But back to current politics. You've made several campaign promises. Which one can you realistically accomplish as a council member without raising taxes or stepping outside of the authority that state law gives us?
So I think all of them. My promises are to invest in infrastructure, support the school district, support law enforcement. You know, that's kind of like what we're supposed to do as leaders in a city, is support the organizations and the people in our city. So when a school levy comes up for a vote, then yeah, like you're supposed to endorse that stuff. You're supposed to say, yeah, let's fund our schools, because bad schools are why people aren't buying houses. And it's, you know, it's long-term thinking.
Thank you. Now it's your turn to ask Mark a question.
I was going to ask you about Guam too. My dad was in the Navy, and then I enlisted in the Navy. So previously you ran for what was it, state rep? What kind of motivated you to go for that and step away from Marysville?
Thanks. Good question. I was approached by my comrades to consider the possibility. I never actually had thought about it personally, but with their encouragement and confidence in me, I went ahead and did that. And for the same reasons that you heard this evening about, you know, for the priorities that I have, and see if we could take those to state, you know, public safety and financial responsibility. Those were the reasons that drove me to do that. I can say it was exciting, and I don't know that I'll ever do it again, but it was worth the journey, and I learned a lot and met a whole lot of really great people. Thank you.
Michael Stevens, do you have a question for Lauren?
Yes, thank you. So I've heard that for events like this, candidates sometimes come prepared with both a nice question and a tough question, and then they'll decide, you know, which one to ask based on how the tenor of the conversation is going. But I know that Lauren has a double black belt in Taekwondo, so I figured I'd only bring a nice question. And I think it's pretty straightforward, and we've chatted about this a little bit, but what are one or two things that you think the city is doing especially well right now?
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question. I've lived in Marysville for 6 years, and their community engagement is awesome. And their police is, you know, how they police is awesome. I see people getting engaged with both their community and with law enforcement, and that makes a huge difference for everyone for safety. So, yeah, it's just a really great place to live.
Lauren, do you have a question for Michael?
Oh, yes, sorry. So every time I look at the voter pamphlet and things aren't going so well, I look at a candidate who looks like maybe they might be willing to do something a little bit different to improve the situation. How will you avoid business as usual in the future?
Thank you. That's a good question. And I think just my background prevents me from doing business as usual because I'm a unique voice on the council currently, a small business owner and big time family man. When I first ran for council, I was 34 years old and had 3 kids, now I got 5. And so every decision I make has to do with making sure that people can live here. Now my oldest is 20 and he's trying to figure out how he's going to afford to live in the community. And I think it's kind of fitting and great news that we had the One Realty Group here as the sponsor talking about housing prices. But boy, when you're 20 years old, that's scary. And so we haven't really talked much about housing today. But privately, in my professional business, I work a lot with quasi-public and for-profit housing developers. And so I see the issues that we are faced with as a community. And so I'm able to put those experiences on in my role as council and make sure that we make it a little easier to get the job done here in town.
Thank you. Amber Cantu, do you have a question for Dan Perkins?
Well, I didn't until I just did. What has been your best experience campaigning?
That is a good question. I've enjoyed a number of things about campaigning. I think meeting the existing council, they've been very forthcoming and helpful, and getting to know the other candidates as well, including Amber. What a graceful person, and it's just been an honor to campaign alongside, not so much against you. And so those have been excellent. But I have to say, just meeting people door to door, walking up to their porch and letting them know what you're doing and asking them if they have concerns, and then finding yourself 30, 40, 60 minutes later, in some cases, walking away with a friend and somebody that you've gotten to know. That's kind of priceless. Whether or not I'm fortunate enough to serve on city council, those are things that I think make me a better community member.
Thank you. Do you have a question for Amber?
Yeah, I hate this 1 minute thing. So I wanted to just ask Amber if there's something she would like to have said if she had more than that 1 minute that she'd like to expound on.
Thanks. Probably, I think my number one takeaway so far has been engaging with my community in a way that allowed me to fall in love with the city of Marysville, like I felt 25 years ago when I moved here and I was excited to raise my family, and to go and hear why people love Marysville, what could make it better, and why it's so important to continually establish a place for, our growing youth that are becoming adults and wanting to stay in the beautiful city that they were raised in. So, yeah.
Thank you. And John, would you like to ask Peter a question?
Sure, actually. So with this, I hope it doesn't sound like a bad question. I don't mean to be a bad question. I basically want to know, I know when you're in a position of leadership, you always want to do what's best for everybody. Hopefully, everyone, we all do want to do what's best, promise. But sometimes we make mistakes. Is there something that you feel that you could have done better, or that if you can go back in time, it would be like you would have a chance to rectify it?
Yes. There is one that actually comes to mind. I know I've talked with my colleagues about this. We had a ribbon cutting for the new interchange in July. The interchange is not open yet. And I remember going to it, and they said, well, it'll be open in 2 weeks or so. And I thought, okay, a ribbon cutting for something in 2 weeks? That sounds about right. Well, it's been 2 months now. I think that having a ribbon cutting for that before it was open was a little tone deaf on our part. And when I see comments online about that, I'm like, yeah, you guys are kind of right. That was bad. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, but that's one that's been on my mind recently.
Peter, it's your turn if you'd like to ask a question.
Yes. What you've been going to council for a while now. What is one vote that I have taken that you've disagreed with?
Touche. I'll be honest, a lot of the votes, I can't say that I've completely disagreed with you or most of the council. Throughout this campaign, I've said this has been a delight. I ran for state senate last year, and it was definitely not this cordial. Because I can say that both of us, we want what's best for Marysville. We might have different routes to get there, but we want what's best for Marysville. I would say the only thing, and it wouldn't even be a vote, the only thing that I can think of that gives some constituents pause is I think some of them feel they don't know the line between your city council job and your private life. But for actual votes, I mean, the ones that I really, really cared about are the ones that you had to recuse yourself on. So I guess NA.
All right. I know we're a little bit behind time. Yvonne, do we have time for closing statements? I didn't. All right. So everyone, we'll go ahead and just start with Lauren since she happens to be closest to me, and then we'll go straight down the line for 30 seconds on closing statements, please.
My parents were deeply involved in politics. They were doing the door-to-door. They were invited to the governor's ball for their outreach. So I feel like I'm just continuing that commitment and engagement with my community. I really do love Washington State. I love the people here. Like I said, I've lived in different places, and it's very different here. This is a good place to live, and I look forward to listening to people, what they're experiencing, what they want to see, and working together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you again for the opportunity to be here today. Serving on the Marysville City Council for the past 14 years has been a true privilege. That experience matters. It's given me the opportunity to build relationships, navigate challenges, and deliver results that move Marysville forward. We've supported business growth, secured state and federal investments, and passed balanced budgets without raising property taxes. Keep harping on that, it's so important. As a husband, father of 5, architect, and business owner, I know the decisions we make at City Hall have real impacts on families and employers alike. My commitment is to responsible growth, fiscal discipline, and I see the stop sign that will keep Marysville vibrant, competitive, and sustainable for the future. Thank you.
So I grew up in Marysville, raised my family in this community, and have spent the last 30 years teaching the youth of this community through the public schools. I ask a lot of questions. I spend a lot of time listening, and if I am elected to city council, I would bring a steady voice, a collaborative voice, and any decision I make or vote I take would pass through 2 questions. What would my neighbors down the street or across town think about this issue? And the second one would be, how will this affect those who are going to inherit our decisions long term?
I am committed to serving every constituent of Marysville, and I believe that we are a city poised for great success. I want to express my appreciation to our current leadership, our first responders, and every individual who contributes to making our city a wonderful place to live in. I also want to take a moment to thank my opponent for running really an amazing race. This has been great. It's been a great experience, and I've been able to glean and learn from your wisdom and the wisdom of everyone running. Together, we can build a bright future for our city, ensuring that every voice is heard and every need is addressed. Thank you.
To reiterate, thank you all for having us. It's been great. Just truly a pleasure to have conversations with you all and getting to know everybody better over this course of this campaign. I've been working with nonprofits for a long time, so getting stuff done with absolutely zero finance behind you is kind of what I'm used to doing. And I would like to bring that energy to the Marysville City Council. You know, leaning towards hope and acting with intention. And then
And thank you. You've been a great audience, and I'll wrap up by saying it has been my honor to serve you on Marysville City Council. My wife Renee and I have built our family and our business right here in Marysville, and we're deeply invested in this community's success. My campaign priorities are simple: listen to the people I serve, protect families and businesses, and respect every taxpayer dollar. I'm proud of the progress we've made, but I know there's more work ahead. With your support, I'll continue to fight for safer, stronger, and more vibrant Marysville for all of us. Thank you.
Like I said earlier, it's been a true honor. I've really enjoyed serving on City Council. I do love this city. My family's here. I was raised here. I look forward to living here for a long, long time. And it's hard not to love a city when you've gotten as deep into its history as I have. During my time at the Historical Society, I've done the research. I've seen the people that have shaped our city. I've seen the events that have shaped our city. I've seen where our city's been. And I think that really helps me inform where we should go. So I love it here, and I look forward to serving you guys for 4 more years. Thank you.
I, again, can't do the whole I was raised here, but I can say I fell in love with it, that I decided not to go back to where the rest of my family considers home, back down south. Because weather's nice, people are nice. I don't know, you can't beat that. Can't beat the view of the mountains every day. And I want to keep that charm. I want to help keep that, again, that small town vibe in our second largest city in the county. And yeah, if you want to learn any more, I got about 17 issues and deep dive on my website, electjonsnow.com. And that's not Game of Thrones Jon Snow, it's with an H. So electjonsnow.com with an H. Don't put an H in there.
Thank you, everyone. And on a personal note, I have truly enjoyed listening to you all interact, and the level of civility and classiness among all the candidates. That is heartwarming to me personally. And on behalf of the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce and its members, a big thank you to the candidates for showing and engaging with us on these challenging topics. Your willingness to appear this morning, speak frankly, not hiding behind politics or rhetoric, shows us the caliber of your choices, our choices for representative. It displays to us the character and thought that goes into each of your candidates, and we appreciate your participation. Thank you.
Our goal today was to present a fair and impartial format that will aid all of our citizens in their decision-making process. Your vote is extremely important, so please vote by or before November 4th. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm gonna let y'all get up.